Good morning, everyone. This is Miss Kakayuran, your teacher today. So for now, let us talk about an individual sports. What comes to your mind when we talk about an individual? Yes, you are correct. This is a solo player. Every sports that involves a solo player. For example, for high jump, long jump, for runners, right? That involves a solo player. But for now, let's talk about a chess. Chess is a mind game, right? And chess is a two-player strategy board game played on a checkered with 64 squares arranged in an 6x6 grid. Later on, I will show you what chess is, what are the movements, what are the pieces. But for now, let's talk about the other term for chess. Okay, so chess is believed to be derived from the Indian game Chaturanga, sometimes before the 7th-10th century, and is likely the ancestor of Eastern strategy game. As you can see here, this is the image for Chaturanga. Okay, it has pieces. It is a board, right? And there are three countries that's play. There are three countries na nagpe-play din ng mga mind games. So let's talk about Changqi. It is the Chinese chess. It is their board game, and it has pieces as well, but different from the one that I have shown you. So that is for Changgi. And for Changgi, that is for Korean chess. This is the Changgi for Korean chess. So you can see, there you go. And for the third one is for Shogi, Japanese chess. Okay, as you can see here, this is for the Japanese chess. Alright, so this is, as you can see here, everything is a board game, right? And there has similarities of these three board games. Okay, let's talk about the chessboard and pieces. This is the actual board game. It has 64 squares, right? And it has 32 pieces with 16 pieces, each black and white. If you see here, this is what I'm talking about, 16 pieces, black and white. Okay? Alright, let's move on. So let's go to the movements and pieces. As I have shown this picture, what comes to your mind for this one? Yes, you are correct. That is the king. But before that, chess is like a castle, right? If you can imagine a castle that has a king, queen, knight, guard, this is their castle. The board is their castle. And the king must be protected. Okay? So right now, king is the very important pieces in a chess. Just like in a castle, the king plays a very important role in a castle. In a castle that needs to be protected. So for the king, move one square in any direction. The king also has called a special move castling that involves moving a rook. Now, why it is only one direction? Because the king needs to be supported. That's why it has only one movement. As you can see here, this is the only movement for king. It should be one only. But there has a special move, what we call the castling, that involves a rook. Now let's talk about rook, right? Okay, so this is the movement for a king. Let's move on to the rook. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the castling that I am talking about earlier. So this is the rook that I'm talking about. Rook. that involves a king. This is how you do a castling. Okay, so for now, this is, yes, this is a rook, and rook can move any number of squares along a rank or file, but cannot leap over other pieces horizontally and diagonally. Along with the king, a rook is involved during the king's castling movement. So, what do you mean by cannot leap over? It cannot jump over. Yes, you are correct. A rook can only move horizontally and vertically. Okay, so this is the rook. It can only move horizontally and vertically. So, as I have told you earlier, a rook is involved with casting, right? This is a special move in order the king to be in order the king to play this castling, it has to be a rook. They need a rook. A king need a rook. Alright, so let's move on. Let's move on to bishop. Alright, so a bishop can move any number of squares diagonally but cannot leap over other pieces. Yes, a bishop can only move diagonally and cannot leap over, just like a rook. So as you can see here, that is the example for bishop. It can only move horizontally and it can only move diagonally. I stand corrected. Thank you. Alright, so right now, this is the very most powerful pieces in chess that protects the king, because a queen combines the power of a rook and a bishop and can move any number of squares along a rank, file, or diagonal, but cannot leap over other pieces. So it involves the power of a rook, bishop, and move any number of squares along a rank. This is how very powerful queen. As you can see here, this is the example on how the queen moves. It can be diagonally, horizontally, or vertically move, but cannot leap over, just like a rook and a bishop. Alright, so right now let's move on to the knight. Knight in a castle plays a role as well. And a knight, it moves any of the closest squares that are not on the same rank, file, or diagonal. This is the only piece that was performing letter L. And this is the only pieces that can leap over. So as you can see here in the board game, knight can only move to L shape that can leap over, just like this directions. So you can see letter L, letter L, letter L, letter L, letter L. If there is a pawn here, if there is a rook here and a bishop here, as long as the knight can perform letter L, then a knight can leap over those two, the rook and a bishop. This is the only knight, a piece that can leap over, that can jump over from one pieces to the destination of the knight. Did you get it? Great, that was awesome. So right now let's move on to pawn. This is a pawn, and a pawn can move forward to the unoccupied square immediately in front of it on the same file, or on its first move, it can advance 2 squares along the same file. So you can see here, this is the movement of a pawn. 1, you can place it here, 1, or you can place it there. That is the movement for a pawn. But most basically, this is only done for the first move. The pawn is placed here. It can either be here or here. That is done for the first move only. But if the pawn is here, you can only move 1. You can only move forward, but only 1. Right? Are we clear about this? Okay, great. So for an en passant, a pawn has a special movement. That is en passant. For en passant, the opponent captures the just moved pawn as it passes through the first square. So that's what you call en passant. So if there is 2 pawns here with the black pawns, as you can see here, this is the illustration. If the white moves forward, for example, the white moves here, the black, this, yung katabi niya, the black can capture the pawn that was moved here. That's what we call en passant. This is the illustration. 1, 2, and 3. So you can see here, that is the illustration for en passant. Okay, so let's move forward. So en passant movement, that is the movement for en passant. That is the special movement. So king and queen is not the only one that has a special move, but also has a pawn. Okay, so that is the end of our lesson for today. So guys, may natutunan ba tayo for today? So that was great. So thank you so much. This is your teacher today, Miss Kakayuran, and you do have a blessed day. Thank you.